Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. T to the G to the I to the F. Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm so excited to be here today. It has been a great week, a short week for work because with the holiday weekend last weekend. How'd things shape up for you? We had a great show. Last night I was a guest on a show called Relationship Matters with Dr. Janice Hooker-Fortman. We had a great time. People are going to learn about booking me on their shows at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time because, you know, the wine hour starts at 6 minutes after 5. So anyway, we had a great time. And we're going to have another one today. Thank you for being here. You know, our theme this season is Show Me Your Soul, and I'll show you mine. And that's what we do with each other. We come together to fulfill the promise that where two or more of us come with the like mind and a giving spirit, wonderful things will happen. It's never a question. It won't, it's not, it could be, should be, it will be. And because you're here and I'm here, that's at least two. Let's go and let's get her done. Amen. Amen. Help me welcome to the show. This is my sidekick, my everything, my little version of Ed McMahon. Did I say Marin? That's Helen Mirren. Ed McMahon. Tried to be a senior moment, but I caught it. See? Garlic. It's the key. So this is Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo, everyone. And she's here every day with me. That's the bell of purpose you hear in the background. What that means, it's your opportunity. It's just a gentle nudge, you know, a little elbow. A reminder why we're here. And it's also a reminder that, if you're distracted, and I get it, we're doing things, we're multitasking, we're busy people. But when you hear the bell, it means look up from your other things you're doing. There may be a comment on the screen, something that's going on in the air, a frequency, a vibe, if you will, that you don't want to miss. So I want you to just take time to look up and see, just perhaps, if it's something with your DNA, your name on it. All right? Okay. That's what we're here for. Also, I'm gonna tell you, when we get our guests in here, I'm gonna give away 2 copies of my CD today. All music from the journey. Turn it around. So I'm gonna tell you how you can get that today. Good morning to all of you. Robert Brooker, Sherry McQueen. I see Christopher Bologna of the Sebastian Project. Hello, everyone, and the rest of you. There's 2. Wow. Okay. That's for everybody. That's a group. And I want to start by saying it is the birthday today, heavenly birthday, of my birth mother. This is mother number 1 of 22, for those who know my story of having had 22 mothers. This is the original. This is who I refer to as my Eve. This is my mom, Lucille. Today would have been her birthday. And so I just wanted to dedicate this show to her and for getting me here, no matter what. Thank you, Mom. I love you. So, who do we have today? Wow. That was quite the moment for me. Right there. Give me just a second. Wow. I just had a fantastic download. Thank you, the universe. Last weekend this time I headed to Michigan to visit the in-laws and reunited with my final foster family, family number 22. The mother has gone on, but the father and my brother were there. And I really didn't know until right now in this moment how that happened last weekend. This thing with my mom's picture number 1 was just now, and I kid you not, something happened in that moment. It was like a seatbelt clasp. The 2 moments came together and locked together. I'm looking forward to understanding what that all means. Wow, that took me. You guys were right here in the real-time download. Something good's going on in here today. I knew it. And now hopefully you do too. So let me tell you a little bit more. I should have asked how you say his last name. I know it's probably Richard because it looks like Richard, but for some reason I want to change it up and make it Ricard. Or, I want to, it's so funny. Am I bougie? Please tell me I am. I've been taking a course online for 6 months on how to be bougie and get away with it. I'm kidding. So anyway, Leo, we'll go by Leo for now. LR, for his closer friends, is a personal growth mentor. He's a self-improvement coach, and he partners with executives and senior position professionals in order to get control of their energy and emotions. Why? Well, clearly, so that they can clarify their life focus and go after all their visions and capture all their dreams. Now, he has well over 20 years of professional experience, and he spent, get this is a big number, you guys, for you math wizards, do the math, 60,000 plus hours mastering his skill set. That is the epitome of practicing something. Practicing law, practicing yoga, practicing medicine. Practice everything you want to be in authority on. Living the experiences have, and practicing how to use what you get from the experience. And that's the other. We all want to live the dream, but the real dream is when you wake up from the dream and everything that was in the dream is still here with you. Think about that one, huh? That was a download yesterday, y'all. I'm serious. I was raking. I had to throw the rake across the yard. Okay, Leo is on his way, you guys. So don't forget your manners just because it's Friday. Casual Friday does not mean that we don't pour our hearts into this, pour into each other. We bless in the manner we want to be blessed. Okay, let that sit there for a second. And so put your hearts on the screen. Give a warm welcoming to the stage, LR. Look at that, 10 after exactly. Ring the bell.
Nice.
That's divine timing, man.
It's right, spot on. You got everything in that you wanted to do. Happy birthday to Lucille. And
yes, thank you. Thank you, Mom. Yes. Oh, so how you say the last name?
Richard.
I knew it wasn't Richard because I said, I just bet it's one of those names. He said, yeah, it's really Richard, but you can just call me Richard. I'm used to it, right? Yeah. It's almost like caramel, tomato, tomato.
Yeah. Tomato, caramel. Yeah.
Hey, is there a name for names like yours that look like a word we know, but it's really something else? Have you ever researched that? Names that are pronounced differently than they look. You know, that's just unfair. That's like if my mom, Lucille, or whomever named me. That's a good question. Who? Oh, yes, I know that answer. It gave me the name, you know, Shaquan, da 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 da. When you go to kindergarten and they teach you how to, well, hopefully nowadays kids know how to write their names and stuff at 2. But back in Walnut Grove, when I was going to school with Nellie Olson and Laura Ingalls Wilder, that's how old I am. I'm kidding. You don't even know who those people are?
No.
Little House on the Prairie?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Enough about me. Where are you? Tell everybody where you're at in the world and what you do and what got you here today. What brought you here today?
Sure. All right. I'm just east of the Rockies, the Canadian Rockies. So it's kind of beautiful out here. I get all the rivers here where I am. So all the water, all the cold winter snow coming down into the fresh air here. And
well, fresh air. I'm back here.
Yeah. So it's been actually summer finally. We had snow like 2 weeks ago. We had like 4 inches of snow, just like nice.
Oh no!
Yay! It's finally summer. And
no.
No.
What's the name of the place you're in?
I'm in St. Albert.
St. Albert. So are there mountains there?
Not really. It's more of prairie grasslands and
prairie grass. Okay, lots of water though. Yeah. Well, we're water people. My husband and I and our families, we love that. So can you tell us a little bit, Leo? They heard the bio, brief as it was, and thank you for that. Some people it's like, okay, and then after she lost a toenail at 6. She, you know what I mean? Right. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. There's sometimes it's TMI, right? But you were spot on. So tell us how you got started. What was Leo's journey that made all of what you do today? Because usually you live it before you share it.
Sure. There's a few things. Just kind of looking a little bit at your story, like the foster system and adoption and all that kind of stuff. So I have kind of not exactly the foster system, but an adoption history.
Oh.
And so there's an aspect of like, you know, I remember stuff before I was born, right? So that's kind of the aspect where it all kind of comes from for me. So
you remember stuff from before you were born?
Correct.
Now, you know, most people look at you and go,
oh yeah,
this guy's so full of shit. You know, no, really. They are. You're used to it. But you know what? I believe you. You know why? Because I can remember being like 2 months old.
Sure.
And my birth mom confirmed it about how I hated to lay on my stomach when they would, you know, they bounce you on their knees and rub you like that. Then I was in there going, just stop. I remember it. I hated it. And she goes, you were only, you know, a couple months old, a couple weeks old, because she only had me a couple weeks before my, you know. And she goes, how do you remember that? So what is that? Is that called something? How did you get that? Does everybody have access to that?
Yeah, I believe they do. There's a lot of, in my experience and with clients over the years, what it comes down to is like the societal stuff and the debris we collect over the years. So, I mean, you can think of like when you're a little kid, for most people, like you're usually a bright spirit, you're like fun.
Famous plug. Sorry.
All right. Oh, good. And then, and then you grow up and then you're like told to shut your light down. And then your memory gets less and less, right?
Okay. But wait, crossing guard coming out, crossing guard with purpose. We want to know, what was that? Give us one memory from before you were born. Like, ooh, what are they doing out there? Don't they know I'm in here trying to sleep? Damn. I mean, what was it? You know, if I could just get this foot from behind that.
Okay. So if you really want to go out, how far do you want to go? Way out in left field, or do you want to kind of more of a like?
Well, if this was in the afternoon and I weren't married, I'd have a drink first, and then you could ask that question. I'm kidding, right? Oh, you didn't literally meet out in. My bad. Flash.
Yeah, you got it.
It's Gay Pride Month. All my fondest memories are coming up. So no, I mean just something that people can understand. So because someone else might be, you know, it's like deja vu kind of thing where you don't really get it, but you know you've experienced it, and no one talks about it unless, oh, I just had a deja vu. So I'm saying, what does that look like when you say, oh, I knew, oh, that's from before I was born? How? What's it feel like? What's it look like?
Okay, sure. So So there's two aspects. There's like the in body, there's being incarnated into the body and remembering what it's like to be in the womb and all that kind of stuff. So I remember a lot of that stuff in the conversations that my birth mother was having with different people around her and that kind of stuff. I was a secret at birth. Nobody knew about me. Kind of aspect. And all the big secrets came out when I was about 19 and tried to figure out my history and all that kind of stuff.
Were you the whistleblower on those secrets?
I was the whistleblower, and I checked off a lot of people. So
yeah, they thought I was dead. All my siblings.
Okay.
They just assumed. No one ever talked about it. He just was here and then he's gone. He must have died, they said, when he went to the hospital with her. He must have died. Yeah, so imagine. I get it. They
thought I was a different kid. That there was another kid before me, and they thought I was him.
She had two?
Yeah, there was 2 adopted kids. Yeah. And then there's 2 other kids before me. Yeah.
Mama was a rolling stone. I can't. So, wow, you do have a similar journey, but just totally different. So tell me this. This is getting good. What was it, Leo? Do you think it was one of those? Was there some attachment between those things that you said you know from before? Did you always feel that pull, like there was a grappling cord from somewhere else in the universe that was inside of you and you followed it back to them? What was that like for you? Because I've never talked to someone else that found their family other than myself. And I talk to myself all the time.
So when I was,
that was my other me talking. Go ahead.
So my whole history is surrounded around secrets. I actually secretly found out that I was adopted. I found some documents in a drawer that I wasn't supposed to find. And I was like, this kid, there's this birth registration that's the same birthday as me. It's a totally different last name.
What a coincidence.
What is this? Yeah, totally. And then, so it's been like shrouded in mystery or secrecy kind of. So I'm really into figuring out kind of mysteries and secrets and what's behind kind of the mask or whatever. So showed up, I ended up, so I was really drawn to kind of figure it out just because there's like this missing piece or this like.
That's the thing I'm asking about.
Yeah.
Sort of drawn.
Yeah.
You were completely drawn. That's why you went. But what did it feel like? Did you hear, they're calling me? Did you hear, what did you hear? What did you feel? How did it come in?
How did it come in? It was sort of, the biggest piece for me was like there's this void, right? And it was like, I got to figure out this void. And it was on the start of my journey, right? And so I didn't know what personal development was or, spiritual growth or any of that stuff kind of. And it was like, okay, there's this lack or this drive or this whatever. And I'm trying to figure out this broken piece of myself, I guess, in hindsight. And I was like, how do I?
It was a broken piece then.
Yeah.
Do you still think it was a broken piece? Do you still think it was broken? Right. Somebody needed that. Somebody's sitting somewhere right now feeling broken. Yeah. And here we are on the other side of that same deceptive chair. And we know that we were never broken. Bruised, maybe.
Sure.
But not broken.
For sure. Absolutely.
Right? Can I ask you one thing before you keep going there about that?
Yeah.
Because I know what you're talking about there. And I just want to say this. For me, you guys, when what Leo was describing, that void, I even as a kid, I remember looking at myself like a puzzle. And you know how have you ever done those puzzles where the last piece you can't find it? And you got that one spot open in the puzzle and you can't let it go. You turn it's like the remote. When you can't find the remote, you walk around for 2 hours looking for the remote when all you had to do was go up and push the button on the TV. You know what I'm saying? So it's like one of those things like, where is it? It won't let me go. So what did you do? Did you tell anybody? Were you a secret agent? That's what I did. I told no one. It was fun.
Yeah. So what I did is I got the information. It happened to be a very small town with the last name. So I called around. I got good old standard, what was it at the time, 411 or something like that.
Yes.
And figured out the phone numbers with that last name, and I called them of this small town, and they're like, "No, we don't know this person. Oh, this person, they're in this town. You should get a hold of them here." And so I ended up figuring that out. So it was my little.
So what was it like? Was the first time you met your mom in person, on the phone? Did you send a letter?
It was on the phone. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah. So you know exactly how the conversation went.
Yeah.
Hi, take us through it. They know mine, so.
All right.
Is
So
it too
it's kind of
personal to
like,
ask, Leo? Is that too personal? You don't have to answer.
it's so long ago that I just there was
Was
so
she
much
happy?
happening.
Was she happy?
She was happy, but I think we're really intimidated, like guilt or
Yeah.
her current family life, whatever. Like, there's all sorts of things people go through in that kind of situation, right? So,
Did you ever meet in person?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, what was that like?
It was again shrouded in secrecy. I can't get too much further about it, but there's a lot of
Okay.
secrecy around it all. But I
Still.
have met the whole family
Okay.
and that kind of aspect.
Okay, so let's jump ahead.
Yeah.
So now the piece has been clicked into place.
Yeah.
What did it do for you as far as all those answers? That void is fulfilled now. So
Okay.
then what happened as far as where'd the journey go next?
For myself or the
For
family?
you.
For me?
You.
So I got that piece of information. I was trying to figure out. I couldn't figure it out because legally I'm not allowed. I wasn't allowed to get certain information until
Right.
I think it was 18 where I was located.
Yeah.
And then so kind of got that piece of information, and then I was like, now what? This has been driving me for like 10 years. Now what do I do? And okay, and so I had all this like intensity inside of me from like my childhood and the adoption and like this my family, not my family, blah blah blah, blah all that kind of stuff. And same time, like a couple of years before that, I was getting into a lot of trouble as a teenager, and that kind of stuff. I had a friend die of a drug overdose when I was 17.
Oh, wow.
And that kind of just snapped me into this like realignment, recorrecting kind of my life. And then I got really sick and tired of the world and kind of all the war and the judgments and the prejudice and all the different things that were going on. And I was gonna like.
You sound like an empath, Leo.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
So now, can you kind of tie in how that organically, because that's a gift, organically ended up being the co-pilot in a way, the co-pilot. I know for me, when the gifts first came in, because you know how alone we felt much of the time, invisible, and something's going on that, it's so different, this, no one else is talking about this. So, and then you start understanding you're not operating through this maze alone is what I'm getting at. Okay. So, it's because I can say this because we have a lot of parallels there. So I'm interested in, I've never had this conversation with anybody, so bear with me. So that comes into play, and you understand that I'm picking up these feelings, observing things and that and the other. So at what point, I want to just jump in there because I know this is going to get even better in the second half. When did you start understanding what you are doing and who you are right now, but you had no idea what it all was then, but you could feel, I'm different.
Okay, so there are layers to that question, or as an answer for that question. So this goes back to the before I was born kind of scenario.
All right, I'm gonna let you tell it. I'm ducking out.
Okay. Oh, okay, all right. And okay, so let's just get straight up and honest. So, so this, I guess, what I mean before I was born is that before incarnating. So after my previous life, coming into this lifetime, I actually remember being in a space and looking at my upcoming life and deciding what I was going to do and all that kind of aspect, and kind of going forward with that. And just looking at the messages on my screen here. And so with regards to that, I kind of carried that with me. And I remember one time I was like 3 or 4 years old as well. I was looking at a bicyclist outside the car. So I must have been in a booster seat or something like that. And I was watching this kind of triangle. There's like orange, yellow going up and down as the person was breathing as they're cycling along the highway. And I remember talking to my parents and going, what is that? And they kind of like, what are you talking about? And all that kind of aspect. And I just kind of assumed people did this kind of stuff as I got older and older. It's kind of, with the adoption stuff in my history, it's kind of isolated or siloed or an outsider, and hit those hearts. and kind of figuring that all out. And then I always assumed people were the way I was, like being able to pick up on other people's emotions, being able to pick up on other people's kind of energies, and just kind of assume that was the kind of natural state of people's being. Because I didn't have a whole lot of friends, and the friends I did hang out with, we didn't talk about this kind of stuff. I just assumed it was normal. I didn't like talk about it, right?
Okay.
And then when I was 12, I started kind of asking people about this kind of stuff, about like being able to be aware of another's emotions. Like, I can tell you're angry. How the heck do you know that I'm angry, right? I'm not showing it, and like all that kind of stuff. And so it kind of always went on. And then when I was a teenager, got into a lot of trouble. I used it to keep me out of trouble, and picking up on different things. Oh, cops are showing up. I'm getting out of here, And then they're like, how do you know that?
Right. Same thing for me. I got to ask you something off the top of my head. When you were like anywhere like tween or teen area, what did it seem suddenly like most of your friends were people that were older? Did you ever have that happen?
Sure.
I did too. That's why I was asking. I told you I never had this conversation, so I'm looking for similarities. Because I remember, because of it was a secret, or none of my peers were talking about it, but I started hearing older people say things that I just fit in alignment. They kind of validated or co-signed some of the things that I knew, but had never had anyone validate, if that makes sense. So I was just curious. So go on.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like figuring that all out, and I kind of assumed it was normal, and then I realized that some people kind of did it. Some people are like, what the heck is this? And that kind of aspect. And then I got into a phase of like I was scrambling. I couldn't, I had my adoption, like basically your core wound at birth, if you're adopted or foster system, is that you're a reject, right? Which is humans' greatest fear, right? Every human experiences that. But when you're an adoptee, and then those in the, I've discovered over the years, the people who struggle the most with what feelings of invalidation are adoptees or foster system kids, and those with like a queer or same-sex orientation or transgender, like that kind of
LGBTQI plus.
Yeah, all that stuff. I don't even know what the latest term is these days in terms of there's like 20 letters now.
Clearly I am, and it is also a great time right there to say Happy Pride Month to all of you, and
Happy Pride Month,
including that community, Leo. Seriously, a lot of conversations aren't so inclusive, but I'm thankful for that. Thank you for that. Keep going.
All right, cool. So those are the two kind of demographics, or whatever you want to call it, that struggle with what I call core level invalidation. And so a lot of my friends as a teenager and early adult life tended to be in those spaces, either an adoptee or same-sex orientation kind of aspect. I didn't really meet any transgender people until like 4 or 5 years ago, to be honest. And that kind of aspect. But so
can I ask you, have you ever had an NLP experience?
NLP, neuro-linguistic?
Yeah. Have you ever been hypnotized?
No.
You never went through that. Okay.
No, I'm not a big fan of those two particular paths personally. But
and everything's not for everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why there's vegetarians and meat eaters. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's I look at, just so since you brought up like that, I'm just gonna say, different tastes for different paces. So whatever it is, I'm like this. I like to put the Oleta Adams old song on it. Get here if you can. I don't care how. That's what I tell people. I don't care if I care, but the most important thing is not whether I'm the right coach for you, and then I'm not, and you don't do anything. I don't care where you get it. I just want you to go get it. Keep seeking it. Keep searching for it. It is out there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to kind of riff off of that a little bit, like one of my personal theories is that humans are hardwired for growth, and the state of the world right now is in a world of growth. Like not necessarily, I'm not saying it's healthy the way it is with like resource extraction and all that.
It's healthier this year than a year ago. If nothing else, it's cleaner.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, everybody.
That's right.
And for sure, I can actually see, the treetops now.
That's a real thing. Yeah. I was just telling the fans yesterday, there are trees on our property that have flowers on them that have never been here. Everything is 3 times the size that it usually is this year. And if you remember, and when the pandemic began, remember in India, that smog or wherever it was, and it just left after a couple of days of whatever it was right at the front end.
Mhm.
And I really believe that that's what the message of the pandemic is, that
Yeah.
we cannot continue to, make things extinct, eradicate things so the future people of this world have to read about it and never get to live with it. And then so when we're the thing that is in jeopardy of being extinct, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
How's it feel to just be casually squashed in a second? And it can happen to you too. So don't get it twisted. Get it cleaned up. And that's what I feel it's all about. So I hope we
Cool.
stay on that path. And that
Yeah.
leads us to what you do.
Mhm.
And you work, and I'm surprised, to be honest with you now, after having met you, because you look like you'd be in Seattle at hanging out in a coffee shop, singing folk songs or something like that. But you work with high-level executives
Mhm.
and whatnot. So when we come back from this brief commercial break, I'd like to get into that. How do those two worlds, do you put on a suit? Do you look like this? How do you get them to trust you? On that and more. Get your questions and comments ready, you guys. We'll be back. How much time should we do? Should we do one? We'll be back in about 1 minute. Here we go. Okay, and that was actually our guest, Leo Richard, backstage holding my logo in his hand with frequency. How did you do that?
Awesome.
You can tell us Friday. Anything goes. Okay, so before the break, we had some backstory and all that. Now let's talk about what the work you do with people in high-level executive positions and whatnot, where all the stress, everyone says, the stats for divorce, alcoholism, suicide, hypertension, all those things are a lot of those arrows are shot up in that direction. So what kind of people find you, and what do they do with you once they get there?
Okay, so, and speaking of all that kind of stress, so the kind of demographic of the people I work with are like point people. So people who carry like the responsibilities of the high stress and stuff like that, right? And from what I've learned over the years is that everything starts on an energy level. So for example, like an idea, like it's not a physical thing, right? It's like an energy. In terms of an idea, it's mental energy.
Correct.
And that kind of aspect. And then you bring it into the physical world. That's the kind of idea.
Manifestation.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right.
And so what happens is that you your ability to kind of interpret that energy, what's going on in your company, what's going on with your family, what's going on in the world, all that kind of stuff, your ability, your capacity to interpret that accurately is what's going to dictate your success. And then if you have a lot of heavy responsibility, and especially if you're an empath or maybe you've shut it down or whatever, your ability to interpret that's going to be like really limited and that kind of stuff. So I teach people how to clear those limitations so that they can interpret it accurately and make better decisions and really step forward in that kind of aspect. So I do, in terms of your earlier pieces around like casual dress, if you will, I'm not like a suit and tie. Like I've got a blazer, but it's leather and so that kind of aspect. So, but I tend to be pretty low key. More kind of my style, right? And that aspect. And
did you just say? Did you
More
say
of a-
I'm working on my style?
No, more. Well, I am actually, and
There's nothing wrong with your style, man. I'm gonna tell you something.
okay.
It's what jumped out when you were brought to my attention.
Okay.
It was like, what? Can I just throw this in right there? So if while you get it. Oh, we have those glasses. I was
Yeah.
drinking out of it last night on the show. Yeah.
Cool.
What I like, one of the things that I initially saw that I really was drawn to and liked in your brand is that it's approachable. You're approachable. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like one of those cheerleader coaches, come on in and I'll get you. You almost like, the Carney guy or, whatever. Come on, buy this insurance plan today, seniors. No, it wasn't like that. Matter of fact, I think I can show them better than I can tell them. And just to give people, because here's the deal. Here's the deal. This is what you got going. You got that vibe.
Okay.
You have a vibe, which is an energy. And it's just, I think that's the reason there were hippie movements and places where people go and just dance around and, they're barefoot and they're in a lot of gauze and, you know what I'm saying? That's why there's nudists and things like that, because comfortability is approachability for a lot of people. It's the determining factor. It's nothing else. It's not the money. It's just, do I feel safe? Do I feel this person is approachable? You know what I'm saying? So I want to show people how you show up every day, because it explains a lot about who you are. Oh yeah, you didn't know I had this, but I do. I'm going to just share the screen real quick. It's just one of your posts on Facebook, but that's organic. That's not you on anybody's stage. That's you on the stage of life. So I wanted to show a little bit. I like it. Here we go. Take a look, you guys.
Hey, I just wanted to do a quick hello. Just kind of feeling inspired to post something, video, and say hi to everybody out there. There's so much going on in this world, and really kind of neat, interesting things that people are caught up with, COVID and this and that, and kind of missing out on life and all the important things in life. And just kind of want to share a little bit so that you can kind of get to know me and who's this guy and that kind of stuff and what have you. So I'll share a little bit about my life here, and then I'm going to share a little bit about some of what I do and things to that effect. So today, for example, it is, Saturday in the afternoon where I am. I'm in a town called Moose Jaw. It's in Saskatchewan, Canada. Here.
Moose Jaw?
It's kind of like impromptu, just decided to kind of come down here. And it's actually a really cool little place with history with Al Capone and crime and tunnels and casinos. And then you have the Indigenous history or First Nations or Native Canadian kind of thing. And it's like kind of a really cool vibe here. And kind of
see, you use the word ding, 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 ding. Okay. I just wanted to show that because that's people, you know what that is? That's like taking a walk in nature. That's like when you drive out of the city just to look at the leaves change and stuff like that. Those places you go that are calming, your social media posts, because I looked at a few of them, feel like that. They're just very decompressing, very casual. It feels like, okay, yeah, oh, for real. And you could just sit there and listen. And, you got a really cool vibe, man. You really do. So let's talk about that. What can you give? Let's talk about what you do, Leo, for Leo. Take us through your grounding routine. What are some of the things that you've learned and that work really well to help you just shed all that anxiety that you help other people, because you can't carry it if you're going to take it from them?
Sure. Well, I teach people how not to take it from others. So for example, like the empath aspect that you talk about, like a lot of complaints that empaths have is that they absorb or take on other people's problems and emotions and energies and stuff like that. I actually teach people how to stop that because it's an energy exchange, right? So I teach energy-based tools so that people can, if they happen to absorb it, how to vacuum it out of their space, if you will.
Oh, I like that.
Other tools so that they stop from like absorbing it in their space. So basically, like attracts like. So what's in your space? So for example, like people who carry a lot of negativity and validation, like a couple of demographics we talked about earlier, is that what's in their space attracts to their space. Right. So for example, I had this one friend in my activist years He was in Kentucky, transgender, African American, and visible in public about his life. No issues whatsoever. Never had any threats. No issues. Whatever. And I was kind of shocked by it. And I was like, so I really wanted to learn more about this person, like why they didn't have any of the threats or the negativity coming at them. Is this they just owned who they were? They didn't have that attractive was like. They didn't have that negativity in their space. Their mom was very supportive, held space for them, and everything like that. And I was like, neat, interesting. And so I learned a lot from them about how to own your space. And so basically, and it's not just there. Like I've been doing this for 20 years, but there's an aspect of like, you attract to your space. If you're absorbing stuff in your energy system, you can't just blame people for, oh, they're throwing stuff at me or whatever. There's something in you got to deal with. You deal with that stuff, and then that stuff stops coming into your space. Does that make sense?
Do you believe what you're describing has something to do or all to do with the law of attraction? Or is that something totally different?
I believe the law of attraction is actually taken from what I actually teach, some of the stuff I teach.
Because a lot of people think law of attraction means people. Just people.
Okay.
But it's not. It's situations, it's energy, it's
yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, there's
what did you mean just now? What did you mean just now when you said you feel it was taken from some of the stuff you teach?
So like what I teach is really ancient, or some of it, not all of it. Like I've learned obviously some other pieces over the years, but a lot of what I teach comes the understanding of it. There's no like fact-checked ability here, but it's really old, and the understanding is it's from like ancient mysticism, Christian mysticism, to be honest. Like
let me just say this. That's where we think, that's where we can track it to. But I'm gonna tell you something. The truth has no age.
Fair enough. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because it starts wherever somebody started talking about it. That's why we need to constantly talk.
For sure. That's why there's story, right? The campfire stories over the eons.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Keep going.
All right, cool. And so there's all that kind of aspects. So basically, there are a few different kind of phases to go through to be able to, in terms of manifesting, creating. The term I use is called mock-up. So mock-up is like an architectural engineering term for like a small scale version of something bigger, right? That kind of aspect. So you design your mock-up, and then basically it's an energetic imprint of what you're wanting to create. So the idea of what you're wanting to create, we were talking about ideas earlier a little bit, and what your mock-up is going to be. And then the thing that's usually missing in the law of attraction is action. It's not the only thing. The other one is what I call limitations to your havingness. So basically, you got to clear out your limitations, your blocks, and you got to take actions, and actions that are aligned with the mock-up, that kind of stuff. And it could be completely intuitive or completely like practical kind of aspect. But anyhow, there are a couple of loose ends I kind of wanted to come back to that tie in the wealth with the different things from the first half of the show here.
Sure.
With humanity in terms of like hardwired for growth, right? That particular piece. Now, I believe the way the world is, like we're hardwired for growth, but because people are wounded and, got issues or whatever, the way our growth is damaging, right? In terms of our families or communities and the world and that kind of aspect. But if we were to heal ourselves or each other, like our own individual selves, then the world, the way the growth would be very, very different. And I think the change that we're experiencing in the world right now is that people are starting to deal with their stuff, and COVID has forced us to deal with their stuff.
Right. Perfect. Because don't you, I don't know, tell me what you feel about this, but I think a lot of people, we were groomed into a mindset by various groomers, environment, society, family, like religion that's in there, or something like if you're a racist because grandfather, everybody else had been one, all these different grooming techniques. So the mindset thing. And so that's why I think like the pandemic, anything that made people stop, and also why what we do is so important. Let me ask you this real quick. While you're doing this for others, where do you go to have it done for you?
I have my tools, and once in a while I get support every couple of months from some people that are kind of in my network and that kind of
like
aspect.
Mentors?
Yeah, kind of in a certain way, or more my colleagues. For me personally, I have a hard time finding people who can hold space for me because of the different dynamics, usually I end up holding space for them because they have issues that they're not dealing with. Like I've done a lot of work on myself. Like I've spent countless hours to working on myself. So usually what space I hold, most people can't match that.
That's because you have more storage space.
Sure. Yeah. More bandwidth and all that. Absolutely. Yeah.
So how do people take that when you tell them that?
I tend not to, because I don't want to, because it just triggers them some more, and then also can be kind of very arrogant, if you will.
So is it possible for a person to walk in with you, say in January, and there's not very much space in there that they can hold for you, but then after 4 or 5 or whatever amount of months, there is more space having been created? Because aren't you the one helping them move out the stuff they don't need?
If they're a client or whatever, yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. But it doesn't sort of exchange like that. But yeah, what happens, usually it's pretty quick. People get some space really quick, and then they hit usually this choice point of like, are they going to really do it, right? Like a lot of people talk about they want to deal with their stuff and want to create the life that they want and all that kind of stuff, but usually hit this like juncture of a crossroads if you're actually going to do it or not, which means you have to deal with your shit, if you will. And most people hit that point and buckle. And I would say 80% of the population actually turns around and doesn't deal with it.
So holding space and carrying something, baggage, is that the same thing?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just clear. I'm just making sure.
Here.
Okay.
I explained to you, it's a bit of a teaching pace.
Okay.
See if I can get it down into 5 minutes here, but
Okay.
all right. So with regards to like my process, so that people can understand kind of what I do and how it's different and my approach and stuff like that, is that you kind of got these layers. So thoughts and feelings is sort of the first layer. Most people understand that if you have negative thoughts, you have negative feelings, and vice versa. And this is where most counseling, most healing modalities kind of addresses the thoughts and feelings spectrum. And what you have underneath that are what are called your pictures. So for example, right now with Pride Month, you have these pictures of like, this is what it means to be gay or lesbian or transgender, or like, this is, you're very flamboyant, or, all over the place and all that kind of stuff, or you're very like butch, or like these certain pictures of like how it ought to be. And if you're not like that, then you're somehow not, that kind of situation or that dynamic or that personality or whatever. And so you have these different pictures, or you have the picture that you're a male or a man or a female or a woman, or picture that you're a business owner, or the picture that you're this, or the picture that you're that, or picture that you're this culture, African American or Canadian or American or South American. And there's all these different pictures that people pick up throughout life, and these particular pictures frame your thoughts and your feelings. And underneath that, you have what are called the core pictures. Now, your core pictures are like often termed triggers, or maybe core identity kind of pictures, or wounds or traumas or whatever. And these particular pictures inform these other kind of pictures that you pick up in your life that inform your thoughts and feelings. So for example, if you have a core picture that you're not good enough and there's something wrong with you, you go about in your life picking up these pictures that enforce that particular piece, that you're not good enough. And these inform your thoughts and your feelings and so forth like that. And so when you go through life and certain people trigger you, you can trigger these pictures, and then you react to people like that. And so, for example, let's take something a bit more neutral, like an Olympian. So an Olympian has certain pictures that you got to get up at 5 a.m, eat, chicken and broccoli for breakfast, or, train 6 days a week or whatever. Mm-hmm. And if they don't hit their pictures, then they trigger their core pictures. Now, let's say their dad really cut them down when they were a kid, that they weren't good enough. And so they triggered they're not good enough. So they go through the spiraled out effect, and that feeds their thoughts and their feelings and so forth like that. And then that kind of aspect as an example. Now, let's take a different situation.
That makes sense, by the way.
What's that? That all makes sense?
Yeah, that makes, yeah.
And then underneath that, you have what are called programming. Okay. Now, there's only 2 modalities that I know of that actually address programming. One is NLP, which you mentioned earlier, and the other one is EMDR. I forget the actual words for that, but it's a psychology term. It uses strobes and lasers to kind of help kind of your neural function, so forth like that, and helps kind of reprogram you and change some of the program. So let's say 2 different kids. Both their parents die when they're 11 years old or whatever, and you grew up in one culture in Western society where death is a really sad, ugly, scary thing. Poor orphan, poor kid is the kind of program around that that kid. Grow up in like an Indian culture or like an Eastern culture where life is more celebrated and that kind of aspect, it has a different program to it, which then informs the core pictures very differently, which then informs the other pictures and the thoughts and the feelings. So that person's life is very different based on what the programming is that they take on. Now, underneath that kind of programming is what I call your core essence. Now, this is where I am. And I call it kind of like there's anything stuck in, like say you have a sliver in your hand and there's all this redness around it. Now, what most healing modalities focus on is all the redness. What I focus on is the sliver and yanking the sliver out so that the red can heal itself. And that's by going through your core essence, your truth, essentially. What is your actual core truth? And then from there, you can clear out the programming, all the pictures and the thoughts and feelings that are interfering. So that's
let's just clear this up the real in the snap. That core, what did you say? The core essence?
Yeah.
That truth and thing. You know, a lot of people have trouble looking at that.
For sure. Because they're stuck in their programming, their family programming. Like, I mean, you hit, let's say you're in a family that's all blue collar trades, you know, mining, whatever, and that kind of mindset, but you're wanting to be business owner. It's not really that big of a deal when you're a business owner. You're just like, yeah, just do it. But when you're in that family programming, you get a lot of stuff thrown at you. Like, what do you can't do that? You know, whatever, you know, in that kind of aspect. So you get a lot of stuff thrown at you when you're trying to bust through programming. And this is where learning how to manage your energy and your emotions is really critical because you get a lot of shade thrown at you for the decisions. So like, for example, like coming out of the closet, you've been working it probably for 2 years before you decide to come out and be visible with it, or if not longer. And you're dealing with your family programming, you're dealing with cultural programming, you're dealing with society. Like say you're in Saudi Arabia, you know, there's a lot
where you work, everything.
Yeah. And so you're needing to hold space against all that energy that's coming at you. That's why it takes so long for people to come out, because they don't feel safe and they don't know how to hold their space in relation to society and culture. So I teach people how to hold space in relation to whatever is coming up against them.
Do you believe, Leo, that courage can be developed, or do you just have to innately have it?
What is the root word for courage? C-O-R, right? Where cœur comes from heart. So it's like heartage.
Oh, you asked me one of those private school questions, huh? You think you're slick. I was like, I wonder if I can get to my phone and Google that without
Google it.
Do it. Okay, go ahead.
So it's like
C-O-R.
Melting heart.
C-O-R.
So can you do C-O-R? Yeah. So do you believe that you can develop your heart?
Can I develop? I can strengthen it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can develop. Yeah.
Yeah, you can develop courage. It's from the heart, right? So the more open and strong your heart is, the more courage you have. So if you've been shut down, and you know, you can grow that back. Absolutely.
That was a great response, by the way.
Thanks.
That was a great response. I really thought that was going to be a stumper.
Okay.
Hold on, I've got more. I'm kidding. Okay, I do. I'm not going to throw them all at you. That was a very great response, because you're right. The more your heart is open, go. All right. So let's start talking about what kind of people should be thinking. What kind of people, who that's watching might need you and not even know it. What are some of the signs that you tell people to look for that you could use what I have? All right. If you're experiencing this, if you have issues with that, give us the top 3 things people come to you to get help with.
Relationship issues is the number one kind
of thing
people come to me with. Yeah.
You're talking about interpersonal relationship or romantic exclusively? Explain that a bit.
Typically 80% of them is intimate partner type relationships. I have a strong history with relationships. Like I was in a relationship for 13 years that was a poly relationship. It was a closed poly relationship. And so your communication skills have to get really good.
Now that's 3 or more?
Yeah.
How many were there?
There are 3.
I just said how freaky y'all were. I'm just kidding.
There's 3.
It's Friday. We said it was Casual Friday. Go ahead.
Casual Friday, absolutely. So you need to develop your communication skills really well, and you need to get over your shit really quick.
That's right.
Like any jealousy issues you got can't be sustained in that kind of space. So you got to work through your stuff really quick and all that kind of aspect. So relationship issues, but also that said, there's this aspect of people who are successful career-wise or financially. It's like about 85% of people who have that success have either mediocre or horrible relationships.
And why do you think that is?
Because they don't know how to hold space for 2 containers.
And they didn't practice or expand.
Yeah.
You know, that's true. And you know what? And people will tell you that all the time. I don't have time for I'm married to my career.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's because their bandwidth is limited, because they have all that the programming and the pictures in their space that's taking up all the bandwidth in their space. And you clear that out, you have more space. So sudden life is easier. You can get as much done in a work day of 8 hours. Now you can get it done in like 3 hours, because you don't have all your stuff. Your head's clear. You can think straighter. You can do all sorts of things that are like so much easier, because you're not making mistakes.
That's right.
And that kind of aspect, because you're not avoiding life, or you're not dealing. You're dealing with your stuff, and you're taking life. You're excited about life instead of like, you know, that kind of aspect.
Do you find that a lot of those high executive professionals and whatnot, your clients, feel that they don't know how to turn their work life off at home? They're constantly on their device, or, you know, they're not being fully present with their families and things like that. Is that an issue?
What I find is they're stuck in society beliefs about what work-life balance should look like. It should be like this way or that way. And so most people define balance. I give people a different frame around balance. Most people define balance like the scales of like ups and downs, pros and cons kind of stuff is how they define balance. I don't define balance like that. I define balance like surfing. And so when you're surfing and you have this huge wave, this curl, and the curl and the wave is like your life, your relationships, your career, your leisure, your learning, whatever's going on, all the categories in your life. And then you're learning how to ride that wave, and your ability to balance on the board, stay on the board, is what I call balance. Okay. And you use the energy of your life to stay balanced. Like if there was no wave, you would probably, well, you might not fall, but it wouldn't be very fun.
Right.
And then if you don't learn how to balance, you're going to crash. The wave is going to crash you hard into the bottom, right? And get all the sand in your face and everything like that. So that's how I define balance. So it's not a 9 to 5 type of thing. I have to shut myself off here or there, and everything like that. And it's more about like, how do I use the energy of my life, the stress, the heavy responsibilities, the whatever's going on in my life, to my advantage instead of it taken away from my life.
Right. It should pour in. It should provide increase. And learning experiences are increase. You just have to, you got to know what you're learning. You got to know what you're going for, what your goal is.
Absolutely.
And right. Because I don't believe in mistakes. I don't believe in mistakes. Every time that something is a mistake, I'm one step closer to the answer.
Sure.
There's one less thing that it can't be. So I don't believe in mistakes. Missteps, yes. Mistakes, no. So on the screen, everyone, is DL. Is that an L? That's an L. dlrichard.com/balance. Head over there to find out about. We were just talking about this, the balance. So you see here clearly, he takes that very seriously. So if work-life balance or any type of balance, if you want that surfboard experience you've just heard about here, head over to this website that's on your screen, and we'll keep these in rotation after the show is closed. Then also, if LinkedIn is your jam, here it is, linkedin.com/IN/DL Richard. Richard?
Richard, yeah.
Richard, okay. And you can get over there and check that out. So in closing, what would you say if people were to just somehow forget everything we've talked about here today, except one thing that you have brought? What would you say that thing would be that you would want people to keep close no matter what?
What I would say is go for higher ground, but also be mindful that what you think is the higher ground may not be the higher ground.
That there could be ground even higher than that.
They might be. For myself, for example, I thought in past I was taking the higher ground, but it was actually a lower path. So you got
higher ground versus lower path.
Yeah. You need to be really clear on your truth.
I believe that. Yeah. I believe, if not, it could quickly turn into aversion. It's true. Because once you change any component of it, it's no longer the truth, because the truth is the only thing in the universe that never changes.
Absolutely.
And it will never change on us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What a great way to end this today and end the week. Happy Pride Month to you. I don't know if y'all celebrate that over there in Moose Jaw. That is so funny. That is so funny. And if this was not a family show, I had another joke to go with that, but I ain't going there. I want to thank you. Listen, this was so interesting. I'd love for you to come back sometime and for us to go even further. Now I know you. This is your first time here. Took me a little bit to get my stride, but man, I could talk to you for quite a while because you're like me. We like to give it to them in pictures. And I mean, and I notice you're very good at that. That's what I do. Everything's in pictures. People love a visual. And thank God we can't unhear what we've heard and we can't unsee what we see. It's just, it's there for a reason, you guys. So I want to thank all of you for being who you are and for showing up. You could have been anywhere in the world today, but you chose to be here with us. And that goes for you who are watching the replay. Get out, have not only a wonderful day, but have an even more wonderful weekend. And remember, pour into the world the way you want the world to pour back into you. And I want you guys to commit to get over and checking out our friend here, Leo Richard. You won't be sorry. I'll put those connectors back up on the screen. Next week, join me. Let me see. What is it? Who is here, you guys? Sorry. It's next week. That really? Oh, here we go. Next week. I'm sorry. I have such an advanced technical booking system. Sometimes it took me a minute to pull that up. Oh, Aaron and Veronica, yay, from California will be here. Aaron and Veronica, the husband-wife team. I just love them. They'll be here, and hopefully you will be too. Get out there and be the best version of yourself you can be. Start this day by finding one thing to make better than the way you found it. Do that, and I guarantee you'll be living a life that many dream about. Get out there. Thank you, Leo. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks for letting me be on your stage.
Anytime. Let me know when you come back home. Okay?
Cool.
Bye, everybody. Be blessed. Be good to each other.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time.